Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Extra Cycle. And today we are going to be discussing the NFL offseason 2022. As of this point in time, the draft has not started, and there's just some free agent signings. So we just want to kind of go through the NFL, talk about some teams, talk about big moves being made, and talk about the NFL because we have not talked about it much on the regular podcast because we've been banned. So, I guess as of today, recently, Matthew Stafford just got a big extension. Deshaun Watson got signed by the Browns, not signed by, well, he got traded and then got signed by the Browns again.
Yeah.
So I guess there is a lot to talk about, and I guess we will start with our own teams. Seems like a good way to warm up for this podcast. So, Peter, what have the Giants offseason been looking like? What do you look forward for them doing?
Well, the New York Giants, or probably more accurately now, the New York Bills, have been doing a lot of moves this offseason, actually. No big splash signings. And honestly, I'm kind of glad because I was a little bit worried they were going to trade the soul of the team away for Russell Wilson or somebody like that, just out of nowhere. But thank God they didn't, because they just need to actually build a team, and that's exactly what they're doing. They signed a bunch of, by this point they've signed two of the Bills' offensive linemen. They got a lineman from the Colts, and then they signed Tyrod Taylor as a backup. Which honestly, with Tyrod Taylor's track record, that means Daniel Jones is going to be a Pro Bowler, because every single time that he backs somebody up, they end up doing really well, and he loses the starting job, and then whatever.
I had no idea that they signed Tyrod Taylor. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they it was a couple days ago, I think.
My sources, yeah, on that one.
Your sources, yeah. I'm trying to think about what else they did. I think that's pretty much it. They did re-sign their long snapper. I was very, very happy about that. I didn't know the guy's name until that very second, but thank God he's back. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they are finally addressing the offensive line for the first time in 10 years. But I mean, hey, better late than never, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I think it is interesting though because they're addressing the offensive line now. It opens up some possibility about what they'll do in the draft.
Exactly.
Do you guys got 3 picks in the first round?
2 picks. It's 5 and 7.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm praying is that they go for either edge first. It's just depending on who drops. I'm thinking either a good offensive lineman or edge rusher will drop to 5, and then with 7, I'm not super concerned with that one. It could kind of be whoever. I think a lot of people kind of are starting to talk about Sauce Gardner, whoever, the corner from Cincinnati, which honestly, if he lives up to the hype, he's this true lockdown man corner. I mean, that you could always use another corner. I would not be opposed to that.
Yeah, the interesting thing with the NFC East is you can kind of hold off on a corner if you want because, I mean, there's wide receiver talent, but not like some of these other teams. I mean, Devontae Smith is good, but he's going into his second year. The Cowboys have CeeDee Lamb, who again is good, but he's all right. Michael Gallup's there, Terry McLaurin. So really, you don't have a ton of wide receiver talent, and you don't have a ton of quarterback talent. So I feel like the Giants getting a cornerback would be helpful, obviously, but also not as much of a need. If you have a good pass rush and you're just constantly putting these quarterbacks under pressure, they will make mistakes.
Exactly. That's why I'm praying to God they go for edge.
David Ajabu just tore his Achilles at his pro day today.
I did see. Yeah. We saw that in Raj and I were at the gym, and literally on one of the big TV screens it was him tearing something. We're like, oh God.
Yeah, that's really beat for him because he was an 18th ranked prospect. You always need edge rushers and such, so very important. But so that sucks for him. Jacob, your Steelers, talk about him because I feel like the Steelers start the off-season start, and then everything else around them has just made their off-season look kind of bad now. So talk about your Steelers for a little bit.
I'm definitely surprised by the amount of moves that the Steelers have made this offseason because, looking back at past off seasons, the Steelers typically don't, go out in free agency and sign a lot of players or go and do massive trades or anything like that. And it's very frustrating as the Steelers fan because I want some excitement and there's certain players I want on the Steelers, but because they're not, I guess that's not their philosophy. I don't get that. but I wasn't very happy that they signed Mitch Trubisky. Well, they could have easily gotten Deshaun Watson, knowing how good Deshaun Watson is as a player. Even though I'm not a big fan of him, like he's a fantastic quarterback. I would have loved to have him.
Well, let's clarify why you don't like him.
I don't like him because he played at Clemson, and I'm an Alabama fan. And in the national championship, Clemson ran a pick play. Deshaun Watson threw the pass to Hunter Renfro. It was a clear pick play. It was just so bad. Like the refs totally missed the call. So I hate Deshaun Watson because of that. But you know what? If he's a good player, he's a good player. And I mean, I'd like him on the Steelers because I think that they would need a quarterback like him, and I don't think Mitch Trubisky. You know, maybe he could be an okay bridge quarterback. And was on the Bears, and the Bears, offensive philosophy and coaching is just not there. So maybe he didn't get enough of a shot. But I'd much rather have Deshaun Watson. Linebacker wise, Devin Bush hasn't been living up to as much hype as I would have liked. And then we just traded I believe we either traded or signed Miles Jack, and then cut Joe Schobert, so that freed up some cap space. And then Miles Jack's also like a pretty good linebacker. We signed some offensive linemen, and our offensive line was really not that great last year. Very young and inexperienced, so I was pretty pleased with that. And then I guess as of the most recent thing is we just signed Gunnar Olszewski from the Patriots. He was their All-Pro returner. So,
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, a little signing, and it was like it was like a 2-year, $4 million deal or something like that. It's like something really small. So, yeah, I mean, we lost Juju, and I was on social media, looking, through my feed, and I saw that apparently Juju and his mom, they were trying to stay in Pittsburgh, and I guess Pittsburgh didn't want to, keep him there. So
this is a trash organization. Burn it to the ground. Unbelievable. How dare you?
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have Juju on the team still, but it is what it is, and I don't understand how how the Steelers will be able to compete with the division, considering the Browns just got Deshaun, the Bengals just went to the Super Bowl, and on top of that, I feel like a lot of people don't remember Lamar just won. He won MVP a couple of years ago. He's a good quarterback, and he was just injured.
And they were also one of those teams this year. Every single player was injured. All of them. Wasn't it their two corners tore their ACLs like one play after another or something like that?
Yeah. It was running backs.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was, and the Ravens still were doing pretty well up until when Lamar got injured, and then they would still be relatively competitive because the Ravens are just a kind of a tough, gritty organization. And I don't see them get blown out a whole lot, or maybe I'm just not thinking of games, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how the Steelers are going to do it.
And that was one of my big takeaways from this free agency period. I wanted to get your opinions on it. Is what is the point in the Steelers trying? Your roster wise, you're at best the third best team in the division, and then with the other teams the AFC West with the AFC West with Kansas City and Vegas and Chargers, there's a virtually no shot you guys make the playoffs this year.
Well, you did say that last year. You said you were saying you're talking a lot of trash about the Steelers last year, and you know what? The standard is the standard. So you know what? Regardless of who we have on the roster, we're going to try to make the playoffs and be successful. None of the tanking, none of that. So, but I don't know. I mean, these rosters have been getting insane, and the Steelers don't like to trade away their draft picks, but at the same time, I would say that a smart idea is you could trade away a first round draft pick, but it's the equivalent of okay, I'm trading away my first round draft pick for an established player. So with whatever selection I had, I trade that away and I'm selecting Deshaun Watson or something like that. If you kind of get my my logic.
So I'm
Yes,
just
that is how it works.
so I'm just like your
But
take is that it's okay, like you're okay with the Steelers trying to win right now? Because I would kind of feel like as a fan, like maybe just
no, it's
going into
frustrating. It's
uh,
1,000% frustrating. But I know like that's the philosophy of the Steelers. Like the standard is the standard. Like that is the
Oh,
Steelers'
okay.
philosophy. And like it or not, like I just know they're not gonna try and lose games. Like they're gonna, try their hardest like week in, week out with who they have on the roster. And you know, like yeah, it would be great if the Steelers could like maybe have one bad year, get a good draft pick, get a player I want from college, but I know that's not gonna happen. Unless
Okay,
they just are.
that was a good take. I thought you were saying it was like, oh, they shouldn't lose and like they should always try their. It's like they're like in context, it like it would kind of make sense like for them at this point. Like they do have like a pretty like young roster right now. It's like if they were able to kind of like I'm not saying tank, but like kinda.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it's just they're in a bad position where they're not going to finish dead
Yeah,
last and they're not going to finish high up. So like you're just going to get mid-round draft
exactly.
picks, and with the draft next year, that should have a more promising quarterback class than this one had. And Steelers clearly have a weakness at quarterback, so just kind of a tough situation overall.
I
I
don't
don't.
know what the class is going to be like next year. Like I'm
Bryce Young to
genuinely.
Pittsburgh.
I don't know
I
if
mean,
like Bryce Young would go. Like I don't know.
I mean, it's going to be better than this year's class because this class is pretty bad.
Yeah.
It is
This
bad. Like
sucks.
I don't like. I'm not a fan of small school quarterbacks. I've said that in the past, and like I'm still going to say that.
We've talked about this before. All the good
And
quarterbacks in the league don't go to the bigger schools.
but I'm still
That's
not a fan. I
true.
don't trust the smaller schools. Like I
Jacob,
just
who's
don't.
the last Bama QB to win a Super Bowl?
I don't know. I'd have to
It,
look it up.
it was like I'm pretty sure it was one of the old head QBs back in the 90s or 80s.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Like I said, Bama QBs. I'm not to
Well, no,
trash on
Bama's
any. All I'm saying is Bama QBs peak in college. That's all I'm gonna say.
well, peaking in college means winning the national championship.
Oh my god.
Okay. Okay.
Welcome to
That's
the
a pretty
men's
high
league, okay?
That's a pretty high peak. I mean, up until recently, like up until like the Jalen Hurts, the Tua's, the Mac Joneses, Bama's quarterbacks weren't like dynamic players. They were mostly game managers, and then Bama would rely on running the football and playing good defense to win games. Like they had Derrick Henry one year. Derrick Henry was getting like 30 to 35 touches a game, and Alabama would play good defense, and they would still win. Like they'd have good receivers, but like they didn't have like dynamic quarterbacks. So
Yeah.
it makes what you're saying makes sense actually. And I
Okay.
actually gave you like the football side of it, the X's and O's.
Okay. I
What do
wasn't
you have
looking
to
for
say about that?
I wasn't looking for the explanation, but going
He
back to
was
what we
just
talked
trash
about.
talking.
Yeah, hook and reel, but okay, okay. Going back to free agency, Justin, what are our Eagles
Constructive.
doing? They haven't really done anything.
No, and I think that's okay because I think the Eagles kind of have a young team going here. Like the road is clearly to see what Jalen Hurts provides you for next year.
Yeah,
So there's no purpose in going crazy. I mean, we signed Hassan Reddick. I think I'm pronouncing his name right, from the Cardinals, which we'll talk about the Cardinals later because they are having a questionable
Oh,
offseason at best. So, but yeah, I mean the Eagles are just kind of staying put. I mean they cut Fletcher Cox to re-sign him again to save cap space, but overall like not doing anything. I mean we have 3 first-round draft picks, so it'll be interesting to see what we get there. I'm imagining we're going to target a wide receiver, an edge
boy.
rusher, and then try to go next best available from there. But yeah, it's good to be an Eagles fan. Like I'm not worrying about making big signings and whatnot. I would have loved to have been in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. I think they pulled out pretty early,
Yeah,
which I think was
I saw. I think Howie Roseman threw one thing and then it was like, actually, I'm leaving.
yeah, which is like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that just because you're never going to be able to trade for a quarterback as good as Deshaun Watson because Deshaun Watson's peak is the best quarterback in the NFL and his floor is like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And
Boy.
Jalen Hurts' ceiling, excuse me, is like top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But that's like his ceiling is like barely cracking the top 10 and I don't think he'll ever reach it. So,
Yeah,
um
I agree with that.
but I mean I'm pretty content. What about you, Raj?
I'm pretty content too. Like, I mean, like at first when I saw the Fletcher Cox thing, I'm like, wait, what just happened? But I realized we are gonna re-sign him, so I'm not worried about our defense. Our defense is fine. We re-signed Anthony Harris, so our defense wise, I think we're fine. Maybe at corner, get Darius Slay some extra help, I guess. I don't like defense. I'm worried about the O line. I'm still a little shaky about because we are very injury prone. Besides that, I
Mhm.
mean, running game we're still good. We just re-signed Boston Scott. We still have a. Do we still? I always forget his name.
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, Miles Sanders. Yeah,
I
Yeah, we
don't
saw
trust
him.
Miles Sanders at all. Like, like especially fantasy wise.
Miles Sanders is interesting. Like sometimes he can like have amazing runs and pop off, and then other times he does absolutely nothing. Like
Yeah.
I'm still iffy on him, but like our run game's fine. I'm hoping that was Hurts' first season as a starter under a new coach. Like we all saw what happened Doug Peterson's second year, so
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that there's no reason for Eagles fans to be pressing any kind of panic button about the lack of moves or lack of big moves this offseason. Listen, we're going to compete for a playoff spot again next year. And then that third year will really be the big year because we'll get some good signings. So
yeah.
all good over here in Eagles land. So I guess now we'll just kind of go down a list of teams, top to talk about them a little bit. There's some bigger ones than others. So I guess we'll start in alphabetical order at the Arizona Cardinals, who I think have had a quite a bad offseason so far. So if anyone wants to chime in on the Arizona Cardinals offseason.
So what is happening with Kyler Murray? Like, do we
I
know
don't know.
like what's going on? Like, apparently he he deleted everything off his Instagram. Like he's kind of like beefing with the organization, and then everything's fine, but it's not. So I don't know what's happening there. Then they also lose. Well, I guess Christian Kirk to the very overpriced deal to the Jags. Yeah. But yeah,
That
I
man
feel like they
find out
haven't
one
like
money.
I know, right? I feel like they haven't done anything, but like it's like they need to like do something. Like they kind of like they've lost some people, they've like had some signings, whatever. But like I feel like the fact that they aren't doing anything is like kind of showing it's like I feel like you need to be more on top of this to be in the NFC West, especially.
Yeah. Their running back, who I always forget their running back's name, who just signed somewhere else, who signed the Dolphins.
Chase Edmonds?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chase
Or,
Edmonds.
like
okay.
he's probably a better running back overall than James Conner is. So you lost your
Mhm.
RB number one, and then with James Conner's fine, like he can play starting running back. That's no problem. Again, Christian Kirk's your second receiver, so like you still have D Hop, which is cool, but you're like your skill positions are slowly like getting worse. You re-sign Zach Ertz, which is cool, but Zach Ertz is getting older, so like Zach Ertz is not getting any better. So you got D Hop, Zach Ertz, and then I don't even know who your second, third receiver are. I don't know who your backup running back is. And then defensively, they lost Reddick, their linebacker, who was really good. And they didn't have a great defense. They hadn't. Well, I mean, they played well, but like they don't have a star-studded defense either. So unless you're gonna hope on a lot of T.J. Watt and Simmons development, who Justin Simmons,
Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons. Unless you hope for a lot of development there and Buda Baker stays good. I mean, they just kind of haven't done anything, and they're a team that needs to be contending because obviously Kyler has a riff with the organization for some odd reason because he wants more money, even though he doesn't deserve it. But yeah, so I mean, they've just been a kind of a strange offseason for the Cardinals,
Yeah, it's been weird. Very weird.
and their draft situation isn't good either, like pick wise. So like they're not gonna really do anything.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal. We thought they were legit. They turned out to be frauds. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They looked really
Unbelievable.
like what, first 7 weeks?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
that was a ride. Like the Cardinals for the first 7 weeks of the NFL season was a ride last year.
They were hot. They looked like world beaters, and then they just fell off a cliff.
I completely forgot honestly that they went what 7-0. Like I
Yeah,
forgot that happened.
they were the last undefeated team. Yeah.
They were really nice. And then what? They lost to the Rams. It was like a divisional team. I think it was like the Seahawks or something.
No, they lost to the Packers.
The Packers. Oh, that's right.
Oh, right. That was because the Packers signed that guy from the Arizona practice squad, and then he had the interception to win the game. And that's
Russell
where
Russell Douglas also just got an
yes.
extension like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, look at that. Justin Source is coming in clutch. There we
Yeah,
go.
he's getting like somewhat like 3 years, like 30 million or something.
Yeah, it's dope. Cause what was the whole meme about like someone's
3
controller
years,
died during the game?
3 years,
Who's
21 million.
Oh, AJ
who was
Green.
that? AJ
AJ Green.
Green. Yeah. That's where he just like stopped running. Yeah, okay. I was just making sure. I was like, I remember that happening.
That was so bad.
I
That was
remember we were all watching the game at Forbes Craig, I think, when that happened.
Were
Mhm.
we?
I
Oh
think
yeah.
we were watching that happen. We're like, what is he
Oh my
doing?
god.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, the Cardinals are just kind of in a weird situation. But I guess keep moving forward. Atlanta Falcons. Roger Jacob. Anything notable about the Atlanta Falcons?
All I'm
they
saying is it's Falcons fashion to lose Deshaun Watson just like that, even though they're in the lead. Like it's the most Falcons thing to happen, and I don't know what they're doing anymore. Calvin Ridley, there goes their number wideout one. Was it Russell Gage? They lost their wideout
Yeah.
too. I all they have left is Pitts. Matt Ryan's getting old. Their running back situation. Patterson's what, a Velociraptor?
Hey, they just signed him. How
Yeah,
dare
I
you?
know.
I picked up that man. He
I
saved me in fantasy.
listen. I'm not saying he's bad or anything, but he's also becoming a Velociraptor too. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know what the Falcons are doing. They're still a poverty franchise in my eyes. I don't see them doing anything good this season.
Yeah, like I would say for sure the biggest thing is that they didn't get Deshaun Watson, and I mean that's his that's literally his hometown team. Like he's from Georgia. And I was speaking with my dad earlier, and and he was saying that apparently Deshaun used to be one of like the ball boys or like handle like some of like the footballs for the Falcons when he was younger, and
Yep.
despite that, they didn't get him, and like that kind of just blows my mind. I mean that would have been in like a kind of like a franchise changing signing if like Deshaun Watson comes back and like he is the same quarterback that he was like what 2 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean I think that's like the biggest thing, like they didn't get him and they're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta Falcons are kind of a team that even though they're in a kind of weak division and they should be like aiming to like go win it or like get second to the Bucks, like they need to rebuild because like I trade Matt Ryan, like Calvin Ridley's not going to be there for a year, so like just tank, win 1-2 games, and then maybe you go draft Bryce Young, maybe you go just draft some like really talented players from college, but like there's no path where the Falcons are going to like they had a decent season, but there's no path this year where they make the playoffs. There's no path. And they got Kyle Pitts, like I don't know. Like the Deshaun Watson not getting him is a really big miss.
Yeah.
100%.
Big mess.
I guess Ravens, I feel like there's not a lot to talk about the Ravens, but they're kind of in an interesting situation being a top of being a team in that division, needing to compete. And I think they have a really noticeable lack of skill players. So Peter, what do you think about the Ravens?
You are absolutely right, Justin. Like there's skill positions because they have Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he is electric when he is like firing on all cylinders. But they really don't have a running back. They don't have a true wide receiver one. They have what is it, Marquise Brown? He's like a pretty good slot receiver.
Yeah,
Hollywood
Hollywood
But
Brown,
again,
Brown.
it's
yeah.
like or Hollywood Brown, yeah. But he's good, but again, it's like if you just put a number one corner on him, he's gonna get clamped. So their defense is fine. I think they just needed to like not have the entire team be injured, but they kind of should have been trying to sign a guy like a Juju or like any of these other receivers. Like they really should have been pushing, I think, a little bit more for that because they do have like a very like run centered offense where it's like kind of like a read option with Lamar. But they didn't really go for any running backs or any receivers, so it's kind of just like they're kind of just there, and it's like it's that division is going to get very competitive because as much as we clown Jacob for the Steelers not being too good, like they could just be good. Like that's the thing. That's the thing about the Steelers is like they could just be good and just beat you. So they're not going to go anywhere if they don't actually do something to try and help that offense out.
Yeah, Marquise Brown is the player that you draft with like in the first maybe like 7 rounds of your fantasy draft, and then he consistently puts up like maybe 8 points a week. Maybe.
I would say less than that.
Probably less than that.
Probably like 5.
He honestly, I don't see why like he's the Ravens' number one receiver and why they haven't tried to get anybody else because he's just not like He's not it. I would say if I were the Ravens, they have young running backs. They're just injured. I would say they need to go after like a Chris Olave type player, maybe a Garrett Wilson, maybe a Jameson Williams if one of them's still on the board. Because the receivers the past several years have always been like they've been pretty good classes. So this class is like no different. It's very good. So I'd say they should try to go for one of those receivers because that receiving core, I just can't. Like I genuinely can't name another player like that's plays wide receiver for the Ravens other than Marquise Brown. Actually,
Yeah.
no, I can, but again, he's not like a good player right now. He's too young.
I think Drake London would fit that team really well, but Drake London is going to go way too high for the Ravens to pick him, I think. So, but the Ravens just really are in desperate need of getting some skill positions because then if you get a wide receiver and your running backs come back, you got fine running backs, you got a decent offensive line, you got Mark Andrews, you got Brown and as wide receiver number 2, and then you got a number 1 receiver. That looks a lot better, just filling out the wide receiver spot. But like, if you're only relying on Mark Andrews in big moments, then it's going to be tough, especially when Lamar needs to drop back and make a pass. So it'll be curious to see. I think they're definitely the 3rd best team in their division at the moment. So hopefully they'll have to find a way to get out of that and try to upset and get to 2 or 1. And moving on to the Bills, I feel like nothing has happened with the Bills except the egregious contract paid to Von Miller.
Oh my.
Yeah, like they gave that man the bag.
I'm looking this up because it might that might have been reported weird because I think the deal is actually because what was it reported 5 years 120 million
6 years
6 years 120 million. I think that's just like how long they can spread the money out over. I don't think it's 120 million guaranteed.
No, he's guaranteed 54 million.
Yeah.
For a guy that
no, it's insane. Like there's no way he's playing all 6 of those years.
He's probably going to retire in Buffalo.
He's turning 33. No, I could see him retire.
He'll go back to Denver.
Yeah, he'd do like
a 1-day contract,
but no, like he is turning 33 by the end of this month. Like he might be 33 right now. I don't know what his birthday is specifically, but I know he turns 33 this month. If it's a 6-year contract, he could be playing till he's 39. He's been injured the past 2 seasons, which you point out, Peter. Yes. But then again, like he just doesn't put it. Like I mean, he's a great player, always has been a great player. But like you can't pay an edge player that much money when the edge players in this draft are pretty good. Maybe they knew Jabba was gonna tear his Achilles. That's why they pay him that much. But no, I don't understand why they did that.
Yeah, besides that, I think Bills, again, look for a wide receiver in the draft. They lost anti-vax captain Cole Beasley this offseason. They cut him. So,
I think the Bills need a running back.
Yes,
they do, yeah.
Singletary is a terrible running back.
It's not that he's terrible. It's that he's just like they need like a legit running back. Because when you're starting running back, might as well just be Josh Allen again. Like you're running into some problems there.
Well, it's like a similar situation with the Ravens. Like we're saying, like upgrade your skill positions. Like I mean, I think the Bills team is less deep than the Ravens team, especially defensively, but they have really good peaks. But yeah, the Bills just need to try to get some help on the outside, especially like when they're going against teams like the Chiefs and whatnot, just to have a little bit more offensive firepower. But nothing big going on there. And now we get to the Panthers, who I can't tell you if the Panthers did anything except extend DJ Moore.
I don't know.
I didn't even know that.
They missed out.
Yeah, that was
But were they really ever in the running? Like, I heard that report. Like, I was like, I don't really ever think Deshaun Watson seriously considered the Panthers.
You never know.
Really?
They paid him a bunch. That'll change somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think we'll just skip past the discussion of the Panthers because I think ultimately you need to draft people. You need a quarterback. Yeah. You need a whole entire you just need to keep drafting talent. So draft whoever you want. Going to the
I was just gonna say the Browns. Their skill position is just awful right now.
We'll get to the Browns.
We'll get to them.
Okay.
We'll get to them. Don't you worry.
Don't worry. Then a couple more. And then going to the Bears, another team that they haven't really done anything. of note.
They didn't get Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Literally all they've done is not get him. Like,
And did they lose Khalil Mack?
oh my God!
Yeah.
How did I
Yeah,
forget?
yeah.
They lost Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson.
Yep.
Yeah.
What has Khalil Mack been doing the past couple years? I haven't heard anything about him.
He was really good on the Bears at first. Then I think he was either hurt
He got
or
hurt.
like the defense, and the defensive coordinator I think changed and like wasn't using him as well. I think,
Mm-hmm.
and they just traded him for a bag of balls, and they were just like, yeah, just get this like star edge rusher out of here. We don't need him.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, at least the Bears, they got draft picks. They make some moves. Build that team around Justin Fields. They got a new head coach in there. Who's coaching him now?
No idea.
Yeah.
Iggy?
Oh, yeah.
No,
No, I think
didn't he get fired?
had to have gotten fired. If he's not
He
fired,
had to.
the Bears organization is just stupid if they haven't fired him already. He's
No,
been-
they fired him. I just can't remember who the new head coach is. I'm sorry, new head coach. But no, they just need to keep building that team around there. They've got such a bad division over there, so like, it's a shame that like these teams are terrible because like a team like the Bears would be an interesting to make a run, but I just don't think they have the talent.
Yeah.
Their new head coach is Matt Eberfluss. I don't know if I'm
Eberflu?
saying that right. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I
I
don't know if
remember
I'm
him.
saying that right.
What was he doing
Yeah.
before?
1 sec. Let's see what they said. Colts D coordinator.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah. Oh, because people were pissed because like you got a new quarterback Justin Fields in there, and then you go for a
Defensive, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know what their I don't know what their quarterback room looks like, so who knows?
Matt Nagy is such a bad coach that not even going to like Alabama under Nick Saban could like change his coaching trajectory.
Where did that come from?
Because Matt Nagy just sucks, and like a lot of coaches will go to Bama, go under Nick Saban for a little bit, and then will like resurrect their careers. Matt Nagy's just trash. No, I'm just not a fan of Matt Nagy.
Did he like steal your like candy bar? Like what the
No,
hell
I don't
happened?
know.
Like why do you have such bad beef with Matt Nagy?
I don't know, I'm just thinking about it, and I just don't like him. I just don't.
Okay, I guess you just
Like
you hate Matt Nagy. Good to know.
I just don't like him.
I just don't like him.
I don't, like. I mean, I hate Chip Kelly, but like, I have a reason to.
You
hate
have a
him.
reason.
What's your reason to hate Matt Nagy?
He's just trash. I don't know.
Oh,
He's trash. He's bad. I don't like him.
He wastes offensive talent. I don't know.
Okay.
Moving
Okay,
on.
let's-
Who's the next team?
Please.
Well, they're the Bengals, but we're skipping past the Bengals. Like
Go
they're running it back, young
Yeah.
team. They'll
Eli
get better.
Apple re-signed.
He did get Eli Apple did resign for like $4 million.
Yeah.
But
No.
well, it's very direct, like what the Bengals are doing. Just get more talent, get better, whatever. Browns, big team. Probably,
Big.
I would say, the winners of the offseason so far, just because they took their quarterback room from questionable to top 5 in the league. So, and they just signed Jacoby Brissett to be the backup, which is
Did
big because that is big because we don't know what
They
this
still
is.
have Baker.
Well, they do, but they're gonna trade him.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know where though.
Probably
Well,
Colts.
Colts.
But
Yeah.
the Browns receiving core is just awful right now. Like their tight ends, I can't really name a tight end on their roster that's been
David
doing.
Njoku.
But has he been like that good?
He's solid,
He's
yeah.
fine. He's a fine tight end. He's not like world beater. And they just signed Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh, they did.
They traded
Yeah.
for him, yeah.
Gosh,
That was like a big thing.
Yeah, dude.
Gotta-
The Browns trade. I can't say that word. The Cowboys for Amari Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
they need a solid number 2. I think they should trade for like, maybe like a Michael Pittman from the Colts in the Baker deal.
Well, I mean, the Colts have a win now. I will talk about the Colts a little bit. I'm really out on the Colts right now, but no, I think the Browns really need a wide receiver too, really desperately.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I mean, I think everyone agrees they've got a great roster. Depending what the suspension is like for Deshaun Watson, like they have a legit shot to go out this year and win the Super Bowl.
They-
For like the past like 3 to 4 years, people have always been saying like the Browns might do it because their roster looks good. Like they really do have like a good looking roster, but then they are the Browns, and that just like shines through it all.
They were
about-
like
about how-
seconds away from beating Kansas City that one year, though.
But they lost though.
Well, I think the
'Cause-
bigger thing about here is the Texans just went like 4-13 because Deshaun Watson didn't play, but Deshaun Watson got that team to the playoffs. So like, if the Browns are like an 8-8, 8-9, 9-8 team with Baker Mayfield, they are certainly a 12-win, 13-win team with Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm. Especially when he accounted for like 80% of the entire like Texans offense when the last year he was playing with them. It was absurd.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see it happen. Like I can't support the Browns obviously, but I'm curious when they're finally gonna get over that hump of like having a good roster, having talent, and then just always like either underperforming or just folding like in big situations. Because when they played the Chiefs, wasn't Mahomes out? Wasn't that the thing?
No,
Well, he was
it was
out.
in the last like 30 seconds.
Yeah, Chad Henne threw one pass for like 6 yards to Tyreek Hill on an out route.
Yeah.
That was it.
Okay. So then the Chiefs just played down to the Browns.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say played
no,
down to the Browns are a good. Browns are a good team.
It was like there was because I remember that was the game where whoever was like diving for like the pylon, and then I think it was like might have been Sorensen on the Chiefs. He like very obviously like led with his helmet and hit this dude in like the side of the head, and then like the guy ended up fumbling the ball like out the back of the end zone. So then it was like a touchback.
Okay.
But it was like if they scored that, like I think they would be up 2 scores or like something like that. Like I think that like was a kind of like the big like game changing play.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is Daniel Sorensen still like?
How does he still have a job? Like
That
that dude should be flipping burgers over at Stacked right now. Like this dude should not be in the NFL. Like I'm sorry.
so trash.
The compilation of Tyrann Mathieu just throwing his hands up and as Sorensen's just getting burned down the field is so funny.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the Browns?
I mean, there's no more excuses for them. They have to actually do something. They just got probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Deshaun Watson, he did end up in orange after all, after everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's your NFL meme source.
Had to plug it.
Saw that one.
I mean, I think I think everyone expects that he'll get suspended for some point. Who knows how long? So this year might not be the year for them, depending on how long he's out for. But he's making $1 million this year to the way the contract's structured. So, yeah. Moving on to the Cowboys, division rivals of our Eagles and
Giants.
That's true.
They've done nothing.
They've lost players. That's it. They lost Randy Gregory, Edge, Amari Cooper, gone.
We gotta talk about the Randy Gregory thing because they really posted thinking they had him, and then a minute or two later, he's just like, "No, I'm going to the Broncos."
That was
Broncos, right? Yeah,
that was really tough. That was really, really tough. I saw that. I saw someone like put that tweet together, and then the Broncos like responded. They were like, "Surprise!" Oh, it was so disrespectful, and I loved every second of it. But like, I don't know. I mean, Jerry's got to figure it out down there in Jerry world. So I don't know what he's doing, but I guess he knows better than all of us.
Yeah, I mean, they got worse. Their talent got worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means for next year. I mean, maybe their young players will develop a little bit, but the Cowboys had a better roster last year than they do right now.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry though. They paid Zeke like all of the money, but they can't keep Amari Cooper.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Zeke hasn't been like good in years. Like
years.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
The last time he was good was when he scored against the Steelers in whatever game that was. You know what I'm talking about? Where he like iced the game.
Are you
Yeah.
talking about are you saying his rookie year? No way.
I don't know if that was his rookie. It was whatever game that he like beat. It was like a walk off win to beat the Steelers. I don't remember when that was.
Huh.
What, Raj? You're showing a phone on a screen, dog. I can't read that.
Just a picture of Carson Wentz.
Wait, I have a question. Like, why are you guys so high on Carson Wentz still?
Well, we're not at the
Settle
team yet.
down, dog. Oh my god.
Whoa. We're a while away from the Commanders.
Manders. God, I hate that name. All right. Yeah, I mean that's Cowboys are irrelevant.
Yeah.
But they're gonna win the Super Bowl though. Every year.
Now this is the biggie right here. Next,
America's team, we got this.
the Denver Broncos, who have taken their team from missing the playoffs to one of the Super Bowl favorites, probably.
Yeah.
So they obviously get Russell Wilson at quarterback, who's a big upgrade over Drew Lock. They sign Randy Gregory to pair him with already a pretty good defensive front from the Broncos. They've got Jerry Jeudy there. They've got Cortland Sutton. They've got the Williams kid at running back, who's pretty good.
Yeah, Javante.
I mean, they've got a complete team. They just kind of like slowly build out their roster, and it'll be fun next year.
They
got
have
rid of
to
Noah
win
Fant.
though. They did get rid of Noah Fant. But what I was gonna say is like they need to win the Super Bowl like soon because they sold their soul for Russell Wilson, and if he does not like, it's gonna get loud in Denver if he doesn't immediately have success. Like it's gonna get real loud.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the receiving core is good. The quarterback, like their secondary is really good as a whole. I don't know much about their linebacker situation. Like, I don't think I could name for you. Like, is Bradley Chubb a linebacker? Or is he just like a defense?
He's an edge. Like
Okay.
he's one of those like outside linebacker, quote unquote. He's an edge guy.
Then I couldn't tell you a single linebacker they got. But I mean, aside from that, like, or their offensive line status, honestly. But I mean, they look like they're in this position where they should be able to do well. And I mean, Russ playing with the bad offensive line is nothing new. He's done that his entire career. So yeah, I think the Broncos are, they're in a tough division, like a really tough division, but I think they should be able to compete.
Yeah. Just like reiterating, and we'll get to the Raiders in a little bit, but that division is brutal, and it was like, oh, don't worry though, the Raiders will be the worst team in the division. It's like, oh, sign Devontae Adams. So it's gonna be a dogfight for those 7 games they have to play in that 6 games they have to play in division are gonna be brutal. Lions, kind of just skip the Lions. They need to draft well and just kind of develop. Who knows what they'll do? They probably need a quarterback, but like if they don't draft a quarterback, no one's gonna care. If they draft a quarterback, no one's gonna care. I like the direction the Lions are headed. Just like they're just not gonna do. They're just drafting it. So, but then you get to the Packers, which I would have told you as of a little bit ago. Packers just kind of like stayed neutral, run it back. Now they've lost to Devontae Adams. I think they lost to Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
The Packers aren't better today than they were last year, so I don't know what they're gonna do.
I think last year was supposed to be their last dance, and I think it's kind of past because Devontae's out. Their defense got worse. And then what? Rodgers is throwing because I think all of their other receivers, I think, also are free agents. They're like they can't sign them or whatever.
I think they have Lazard, Randall Cobb.
I think Lazard might be a free agent.
Yeah, and they have that.
Amari Rodgers.
No, who's that other dude? The dude's brother on the Lions.
Oh, Equinemius St. Brown.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, St. Brown. Yeah, because like I don't get me wrong. Do I think Aaron Rodgers like can make some players that maybe aren't as good look a lot better? Yes, as examples, like literally who is Alan Lazard before he started playing with Aaron Rodgers? Literally no one knew who he was. Like again, like he can really kind of like show like the spotlight and like how good some of these players can be. But yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that well.
I
And of
they
course, I
don't have
might say this, and Rogers might go on a revenge tour, but like, I don't, I don't think they're gonna be good. Like, I don't know. I'm scared
Nah,
to say that
it's
about
really
Rogers.
hard to say.
the Packers.
Yeah,
The Packers are like the CEOs of having a good regular season and then choking in the playoffs.
yeah,
Like they're just not. I don't see them doing it. They've been looking good, from year to year, but no, they could. I don't see them, making any headway. And honestly, when they lost in the playoffs this past year, like it was supposed to be an upset, and it kind of was. But at the end of the day, I mean, I wasn't very surprised. Like this is something the Packers like. They do this.
yeah. It's the kind of their thing.
Yeah. So
Oh my god.
Yeah, so Packers will be interesting. I mean, they're still by far the best team in their division, so they'll make the
Oh, hands
playoffs.
down. Yeah.
So, moving to the Texans, I think the Texans are in another position where they got a haul for Deshaun Watson, so you just sit, develop talent. I think they like
Draft.
Davies Mills at quarterback, so maybe you don't need a quarterback, just draft skill positions and just get better. And maybe in 2-3 years, you're gonna have a very good team.
Yeah.
But now we go to the Colts, and for me, I will talk about the Colts a little bit because I am very baffled at what is going on with their quarterback room because they move off of Carson Wentz, who had pretty good stats, who took that team who started 1-5 because of COVID and injuries, and they almost got to the playoffs. They fumbled the bag a little bit the last 2 games, and Carson Wentz did not play well. And Carson Wentz is not the best quarterback ever, and he is not a Super Bowl. He might be like a fringe Super Bowl, bring your team to the Super Bowl kind of guy, but I don't know what the Colts are gonna do at quarterback, and I don't like. The problem is they didn't get Deshaun Watson. They didn't go for him. They didn't get him. So now the guys out there like Baker Mayfield, Jimmy G, Matt Ryan. And my question is, are any of those guys better than Carson Wentz or financially better than Carson Wentz? Like, I don't like. It just feels
Well,
like they moved off of Carson Wentz to trade for a guy who has other question marks or could just be expensive.
the thing about the Colts too, they have like $70 million. They're like $70 million below the cap. Like they could spend a lot of money and sign free agents to make this team better, and they're just not doing it. Like I don't know. And Justin, you're so right with that take on Wentz though, because like I get it, like he didn't have like the best year, but why do you immediately move on? Like yes, he didn't have the greatest season in the world. Of course. It's his first season on a new team. Like that stuff like that happens. Like, and are you just like trying to blame everything that happened like with like the season kind of like falling apart, not ending up being like the way that you wanted to on Carson Wentz? Like the defense also was like doing very well. Jonathan Taylor looked like an MVP like partway through the season. Like he was on track for doing that. And then like yeah, Carson Wentz has some bad games. But it's like, did you judge the entirety of what this guy can do for your team based on like, okay, he had some bad games, we got to get rid of him? Because then you're right. It's like there's not many other people that are out there right now that's like, now all the good quarterbacks are gone. Now you're kind of with all the kind of just the mid ones, and it's like, why didn't you just keep him? Like,
Yeah.
there's not really that many other options.
And Jacob, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there was that report that came out saying that Wentz wasn't showing very much leadership and that he was very opposed to tough coaching, and he's not good enough to be opposed to tough coaching. I know because I wasn't good enough to be opposed to tough coaching when I played football, and he's in the NFL, so he's obviously significantly better at football than I am. But he's not as good enough a player to be the type of guy to say no, I'm not. Or I don't know exactly what he was saying, but there's got to be a reason why that report came out. There's got to be some truth to it.
No, I agree with you, but it's all about. And this is I'm fine with them moving off of Carson Wentz because they're a team that's really good. The question is, what are you doing because what is the option to replace Carson Wentz, and is it a better option? Baker Mayfield is not good at tough coaching. So if you think you're gonna get Baker Mayfield and your problems are gonna be solved, he's not better than Carson Wentz, and he's not gonna be a good person for that locker room. So I think Baker Mayfield is a downgrade. You get Jimmy
Well,
G. I don't think Jimmy G is that much of an upgrade or an upgrade at all, especially like potential wise. So just kind of a mid option. The only option that I think is the best case for them is getting Matt Ryan, who has a tremendous cap hit, will eat so much of their salary, and is just going to continuously get worse, and it's probably just going to be a 1 to 2 to 3 year quarterback for them, and then you're going to be looking in the draft again. So I agree that Carson Wentz might not have been good to tough coaching, but he almost got the teams to the playoffs, and I keep saying they started 1-5 because of injuries. They don't have a wide receiver group at all. T.Y. Hilton is washed up. Michael Pittman was their best receiver this year. So if you don't have good receivers, I don't know what you expect for Carson Wentz. And that team played terrible in Jacksonville that last game when they just needed to get into the playoffs. And it wasn't on Carson Wentz for most of it. So,
well, the Colts haven't expressed interest in Baker Mayfield yet. It's been the other way around. So they might not even go for him. Baker
no,
Mayfield, and I mean Baker Mayfield. The thing about him is he might like just end up not having a job because going back to college, he had a bunch of like maturity issues, and that was like people were saying, okay, is that going to tank his draft status? There's actually a video of him making like an obscene gesture towards Kansas players
Oh
after
my
like this.
god. You sound like one of those old heads that's
Oh my
like beefing with him for doing that. That was so funny. Don't deny that.
It might have been amusing, but at the same time, if
Oh my
you're
god.
it's Kansas. Kansas isn't good at football. They're not good. He's playing like they just don't shake his hand, so you don't need to do that, especially
Did
like
you not see him get cheap shotted during that game?
but you don't need to do that though. There's definitely other ways to go about this.
You also don't
Especially
need to go head hunting.
well, at the same, I'm not saying that it's wrong, like that the headhunting was right. I'm just saying that there's two, like you don't need to be doing that necessarily. And on top of that, when he already has maturity, like when people are already questioning his maturity, that only deepens it. And then those reports go into the NFL, and then it seems like he hasn't really changed much in the NFL in terms of maturity standpoint. So now, what's going to happen?
What
Like,
has he done? Like, name me one thing that is immature that Baker Mayfield has done in the NFL.
let me look it up.
Well, if you need to
Let me
Google
do-
something, then it's not gonna be like anything that major though.
Let me look it
Like
up.
what? It's like apparently he can't take hard coaching, even though that was a report for Wentz. That wasn't even for Baker. Like what?
Let me do
I
some
don't-
research.
Oh my god! Just throwing takes out there, no actual validity to them. Perfect. Love to hear
Let me do
that.
some research. Let me do some research. Wait, so I have a question. Why don't you say this when Raj says a bunch of bullshit?
It's Raj.
It's me. You think I actually
I don't
have the time I
actually.
can say stuff?
Well, that too, it's that, and then also
Mhm.
like 90% of the time he is just doing a bit.
Uh-huh.
So like this seems like an actual take from you. So that's where I'm kind of calling you out.
Okay, let me do some research.
Okay,
mean,
well
In
you do
Baker's
research.
defense, I mean, but it's progressive, right? He's like their like mascot for like their ads during the football season. Like, you don't want an immature QB with a bad like public figure profile to be like
Okay,
head of your
the Bra-
company.
Oh,
the
I see where
Browns
he's going
said
with that.
they
Yeah, yeah.
wanted an adult at quarterback.
What?
Okay,
It's a report that came out.
Jacob, you do understand that the reason why those reports get released is to push agendas, right?
Do you think that is a false report though?
It was one.
Do you think it's a
It
false
was
report?
one report from an anonymous source. There's no one else that has said anything saying how that Baker Mayfield has like maturity issues or whatever.
Okay, sure. Sure.
Okay, you know what?
Okay,
Next team. Next team.
Sure.
That's just move on.
another this next team,
Yeah.
I think, has a lot of interesting thoughts. They've been signing everyone. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean,
Yeah.
besides giving Christian Kirk wideout one money, they've been making a lot of moves. And
Yeah.
wait, Doug Peterson's their head coach now, right?
WP.
Yeah. Like the Jags, I mean, they're the Jags. I don't really want to be like they're amazing or anything, but like they're pushing right now in the offseason, picking up a lot of players. It's gonna be interesting to see how they mesh with Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Who's their running back right now?
Taylor, not Taylor, Tyler Entemy. He played at Clemson.
It's James
Trevor-
Robinson and Travis Etienne.
Yeah,
Travis
okay.
Etienne.
Yeah, like they have
he's got a
weapons.
brother going to I think A&M. I think.
Cool
Thank
story.
Sorry,
Anyway.
share football knowledge with you guys.
Anyway, but no, I think the Jaguars are an interesting. I mean, I think they could have gone young and like kind of just drafted, but also like it's cool to see this team get some talent because that division's weak. They
Yeah.
can make a playoff run. Like if you told me the Colts and the Titans fell off a little bit and the Jaguars scooped in, I would believe you.
Definitely.
So I think the Jaguars are doing well. I think a lot of it just depends on that development from Trevor Lawrence, and they have a top pick, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
number one. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
either gonna
wait,
go
yeah.
with Neil
Oh, yeah, the
or
first, yeah.
it's. I'm praying to God they get a lineman because if I have to watch Trevor Lawrence turn into the next Andrew Luck, I'm gonna be so mad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Just
I
get
think they'll draft a lineman, and then it'll be an interesting roster.
Yeah.
Chiefs next up on our list. I think they haven't done a ton. They still haven't re-signed Tyrann Mathieu, but they got
I don't
Juju,
think they're
which
going to.
I don't think they are either. I think they would
Yeah.
have done it already.
Yeah. But yeah, so Juju ended up leaving. That's a tough look for Pittsburgh. I'm not gonna lie,
Well,
because Juju was like Mr. Pittsburgh of all
yeah.
people.
Well,
He
now
loved the
Juju and
city.
Juju and Jackson Mahomes can make TikToks.
There you go.
That'd
And
be so funny.
That's what the streets wanted. The streets wanted it. We wanted to see them collab on TikTok.
well, it didn't uh I think it was on Jackson Mahomes' story. He like reposted like the NFL thing, and he's like, "Oh, we got to make TikToks now." It's like, oh boy, this is about to get very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, besides that, like the Chiefs haven't really done anything crazy.
But
per
they're
se.
already the Chiefs, so it's
Yeah,
like they
I
don't
don't
really
think
need
they
to.
don't need to. They're good at
Yeah.
running back. They have Mahomes, Kelsey. They're fine. And with Juju, they have a lot of receiver like weapons now.
Yeah, because they got Tyreek to take the top off the defense. Now you have a really good like third down, like need a catch receiver with Juju. They
And you
have
safety
what?
blanket Travis. Like
Yeah, exactly.
Still have McCole Hardman who can.
Yep.
Cole Hardman.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Tringle
Chiefs are
too.
yeah, the Chiefs are good. I think they'll just have to try to see if they can improve that defense in a sense. Because I
Yeah.
mean, don't try not to get into dog fights with like the Bills and whatnot. But I
Exactly.
mean, I think they've had a fine offseason so far. They've improved their offense subtly, but in a big way, and I think that will pay dividends.
Mhm.
So moving on to the Raiders, who also I feel like they've been really interesting because in a division where it's just gotten so tough, they made the decision to just like go up and try to compete with them, which I don't think as a GM I would have done.
Yeah.
So, what are our thoughts on the Raiders?
Well, so what? They signed Devontae, and did they get Chandler Jones too? I believe.
Well, they traded for Devontae, which is just
Oh
small
yeah,
because they probably
traded.
lost-
Yeah.
else-
I think they did get Chandler Jones. No.
yeah, they got Chandler Jones, they got Devontae, and then I don't know if they've done anything else yet. But I
think
mean,
that's about it, yeah.
the team's already pretty good. They've got Derek Carr, they've got Josh Jacobs, they've got Hunter Renfrow, they've got Devontae Adams. So their offense is pretty good. Oh, and the Darren Waller's a really good tight end. I don't know what their offensive line looks like, but I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah.
And defensively, they got better with Chandler Jones. I know they cut Carl and Sieb, but I was a little confused by that. But then they got Chandler Jones, so it made
So
sense.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It ended up making a lot more sense.
So yeah, I think the Raiders are making a decision to go compete, which again is interesting just because I don't think they're better than the other three teams in their division. But
Yeah, but I mean, hey, gotta
yeah,
fight for it. So
yeah.
any
And
given
then
Sunday.
yeah, and then similarly, the next team on our list is the Chargers, who have been very, very active, especially making big splashes this
They are
offseason.
scary. They
Their
are
D-line
very, very
is-
scary.
D-line scary.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my god.
Joey
Khalil
Bosa
Mack.
and Khalil Mack. Yeah, that is horrifying. Their secondary too is also really good now because now
JC Jackson.
if Derwin James can stay healthy with JC Jackson there, that's That's really terrifying because the fact that they got an edge and a corner, like because the edge is going to apply more pressure to the quarterback, force him to throw the ball, and J.C. Jackson is like a true like roam safety. Like he will follow the number one receiver across the field, whatever. So it's like if you're just hucking it up, like he's going to go and get an interception, and he's not like Trayvon Diggs, where he's like giving up 1,000 yards in the back while also getting a bunch of interceptions. He's also just a good lockdown corner who can go up and get those picks.
Yeah, and like their offense too. Like Eckler and their RB2, they're a nice 1-2 duo. Their receivers, they still have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Is that his name?
Yes,
Yep.
Mike Williams is the
Like
slot,
the Chargers. I mean, I like my hot takes, but like Chargers, they're gonna make a big push for the playoffs, if not the Super Bowl.
I could 100% see that, Raj.
No,
that might be a bit of a hot take now, but
I mean, I think if you said there's a lot of teams right now that you said, hey, they won the Super Bowl, I would be like, I'm not surprised. And Chargers are one of those teams, along with two other teams in their division, and the Broncos and Chiefs. If you told me those teams won the Super Bowl, I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Which is awesome for their franchise. I think it wouldn't hurt to try to get like a better tight end. I don't know who their tight end is now. It used to be I can't remember his name.
It used to be
Hunter Henry. But he's
I
on
think
the
it's
Patriots.
Cooks. I think he's like older. I think
Jared Cook.
Maybe I don't know.
But they could get a better tight end. They could maybe get a more like speedy guy to get in and out of routes at wide receiver. But other than that, I mean, they've got a great defense.
Yeah.
And they'll just see where they go next year. Hopefully, they don't do the Chargers type things and blow leads and fourth quarters. But so that is them. And let's see what the next team is on the list. And that is going to be the Rams. Who cares? Because the Rams are just going to run it back, and they just signed Matthew Stafford for a really big extension. They got
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson was a big thing for them because
huge pickup.
That's big. They finally freed my boy out of Chicago. Finally.
I think they're still trying to get OBJ back. Like I don't think Allen Robinson signing with them is like no OBJ. No, I don't think it is. Because apparently there's a lot of both sides want to like return to each other. I think.
I mean, I would absolutely. If I was OBJ, I'd be like fighting tooth and nail to stay in LA. Are you kidding me? Yeah,
Cooper Kupp, OBJ, Allen Robinson,
Robert Woods,
and Robert Woods is back. Whoa!
Yeah,
and Van Jefferson can fly.
Jefferson, he can fly.
Yeah,
that dude is so fast.
And they're solid at tight end with Higbee. Like,
that is terrifying. That is so scary.
I mean, I would say the winners of the 2022 offseason is SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, SoFi Stadium definitely is, because you're absolutely right. It's like, maybe like Denver or the Browns, but like when you combine all of those moves that these teams have made, it's like it's kind of hard to say otherwise.
Yeah. And then moving right along, the Dolphins.
Irrelevant.
I don't know.
Literally nothing has happened with them. I think they signed Mike Gesicki, but that's it.
They got Chase Edmonds. Yeah, but other than that, they haven't really done much. I think the avenue for the Dolphins is to stick to Tua, draft more talent, and then see what they can do next year, because their division isn't that good either. It's Jets, Patriots.
Well, no, that is it's like, I guess, you're right. It's like it's not a good division, but it's very top heavy with the Bills and Patriots.
Yeah. Well, I think the Dolphins could be better than the Patriots this year.
All right. I like that take. I do hate the Patriots, so you know what? I like that take.
And then we got the Vikings. I don't know. The Vikings haven't done anything.
No, they did one thing and give Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been robbing the Vikings for the past 5 years now of all their money. Like, he's not a bad QB, but he shouldn't be getting like Pat Mahomes or like Aaron Rodgers type money for a mediocre performance every year.
It's tough.
It's tough. Yeah, because you're very right with that take, where it's like, I think people do like overhype how bad he is. I think that's a really bad way to say that, but like that's kind of like what it is. It's like people say it's like, oh, he's so bad. It's like, no, he's not a bad quarterback. It's just that he's getting paid so much money and he's just not that good.
Yeah, like I mean, he has weapons. The Vikings are always like that team every season. There's like, oh, maybe they can make the playoffs, and they start losing.
Because they're in the Packers division. So it's like
Exactly.
if they don't have an incredible record, they're not making it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Who's
then
next?
let's see here. Patriots kind of just touched on them. They haven't really done much.
They didn't
Yeah.
really. Last seasson where they had like the big off-season moves, but
Yeah.
this year is like they kind of just like they kept they let J.C. Jackson go, but that was really
Oh,
that was all
well.
that really happened.
I mean, I gotta hope they like go draft some skill positions because Mac Jones gonna need people to throw to, and so I don't like in the draft like they need to really try to target a wide receiver, a good running back, and I know it's not what the Patriots typically do, but like maybe they ought to do that because it's gonna be very difficult for them if they don't do that soon.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we got the Saints, who
Missed out on
Oh.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, they're dumpster fire at the moment.
Somehow, did you see how they were like? I think they were like 30 million over the cap or something, or maybe it was like 70 or something like wild.
yeah, they've
And
got
then in like one day they were like 30 million under the cap. Like somehow, I don't know how they did that. They didn't cut or sign anybody, and they were just like, "Oh yeah, we're just under the cap now." It's like, huh? How is this possible?
Inflation. I really don't know how they just cleared that much space without doing a thing.
It's their financial gurus out there just know what they're doing.
Yeah. Bounty Gate. Ooh.
Just had nothing to do with it. Just gotta
Nothing to
throw
do
that
with
in
it.
there.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Giants we talked about.
Yeah.
Jets. I think the Jets are like kind of a team that's really in a good position because
Mhm.
the AFC is stacked right now. The Jets know they won't compete with them at the moment. They've got draft picks. They've got young talent. Like they're kind of in a situation where they can kind of just like be bad for 1 to 2 years, let these teams kind of like fight each other out, and then maybe they'll like rise from the ashes in a few years.
I mean,
They've
that's a
got some
pretty good
talent.
take, yeah.
Because I mean,
But
eventually, like 2 years down the road, who knows what like Russell Wilson looks like anymore? Like who knows like what these other teams look like that are competing?
Yep.
So I think like they just gotta have good drafts and develop their talent, keep the culture good, and I don't know if they win like a game or two against like some decent talent this year, it'll look good. I mean, they need Zach Wilson to really do something this year.
yeah, they need him to step up big time.
Yeah, if he doesn't, then they're gonna have to look at quarterback again, which is gonna
Yep.
suck because they have not a good quarterback since like
Mark Sanchez that 1 year.
Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
We did talk about the Eagles and we also talked about the Steelers. 49ers are just going with the run it back mentality, but maybe with Trey Lance, maybe not.
Maybe with
Who
Trey Lance,
knows?
maybe with Jimmy G. I guess we just gotta wait to find out. There's not really a whole
Yeah.
lot going on there.
Do you guys have a take on what they should do with Jimmy G or Trey Lance?
I would say there's a reason why he was sitting. So maybe it's because like he has a lot of talent, but like he still needs to like. I feel like if he was ready to start, he would have started. Like that's just my opinion. So like there's probably a reason why he's not. So I would still keep Jimmy there and then just keep developing Trey Lance. But then again, it's like, well, what's the point of drafting this kid if we're not going to actually play him? But just have to see what they do with him, I guess.
Yeah.
What about you, Rush?
I mean, the only thing I could possibly see them doing is maybe dishing out Jimmy G because maybe they might have Trey Lance like year development and then he'll start. But I don't really know where they would send Jimmy G or what they could possibly get for him. Like, this is all waiting game now.
Maybe the Colts, but like again,
Maybe. Who the Colts gonna give them though? Like a couple like draft picks? Like
I guess draft picks, yeah.
Yeah, just draft picks.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
I'm personally in favor of Trey Lance. I think just kind of like take the step, trust the development, trust the talent, and just kind of go for it. They're gonna need to be risky. It's gonna be really hard to win this year against, especially like a team like the Rams. So like, go for it. Like, to dive into the deep end. That's my opinion. Seahawks, they should tank. They should.
They should absolutely just tank at this point.
Yeah.
They should reach
They
their
have
division.
no hope.
Their division is going to be a bloodbath. They have no reason to compete. I think trading Russell Wilson was ultimately good for their franchise, and in a couple years it might be for the better. But just I really urge them to not be stupid. Don't try to compete.
Just exactly. It's like, because at that point, it's like you are very obviously rebuilding. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna suck. Like, obviously, we're gonna go out there, like, we're going to play. We're like still gonna like do whatever. But it's like, do not have any expectations for this team. Like, they are going to be bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Buccaneers kind of did a whole 180 because
Yeah, Brady's back.
It was I would argue a full 360 because it was like they were ready to go. Brady retires, they're screwed. He's back. All right, they're Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, like
it was a really big question. It was like Tom Brady just tweeted as I was talking, but it was like okay, are they gonna bring in Jimmy G? Like, oh, do they believe in like Deshaun Watson could come to town, or are they gonna like ton of question marks about their quarterback situation? And then just in one tweet, it was like, oh, no concerns about quarterback. People are re-signing. We've got Chris Godwin back, Mike Evans under contract, and it's like run it back pretty much.
There we
they
go.
also
That's
get
it.
Russell Gage.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, like the Bucks scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they're really
always.
good.
Like
The
I
type-
no,
go
but
ahead.
the thing is, like the NFC East, like I feel like the NFC East has lost like everyone. Or not, I mean, my bad, not the East, just the NFC in general. Like we
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
like all our talent is to the AFC now. Honestly, like besides Rodgers, Brady, like I don't know what other talent the NFC has anymore because they're all ditching to go to the AFC.
Yeah, AFC is stacked. It's absurd.
Yeah, AFC is absurd. And going into this season, the NFC was the conference to beat. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of Chiefs, Bills, and then it was like Rams, Packers, Cowboys. The Cardinals were playing well, and it was like, wow, the NFC is stacked. And in one off season, one regular NFL season, just completely flipped.
Yes.
Yep. Titans have been my opinion, way too quiet for a team that has aspirations as high as they do.
They just let Julio go. That's all they've done.
Yeah. Like they need to make moves. Their wide receiver core is not that good. They need to get wide receivers. Maybe they'll do it in the draft. I think they need to find an answer at quarterback. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is going to get it done. So,
like he's not the best QB. He's not the worst, but like at the same time, like you can put any quarterback in there, take a 2-step back, and just hand it off to Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
like that's basically all he does.
He's like the 16 to 20 range for quarterbacks, I would say. Like,
yeah,
he's like almost right in the middle of the pack. Like, if you have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, you're not really concerned about quarterback at the moment, but like you could always be doing better.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be doing better if they want to win a Super Bowl.
True.
Yeah.
That's the issue. So they need to figure that out, in my opinion, but I think they're just going to run it back. I love how there was like a second in the offseason where it was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers could be interested in the Titans.
Yeah.
He's building a home in Nashville, and it was like, oh.
Like it's also just because Nashville is like a really nice area to have a house.
Yeah. And then just like that, just disappeared.
Yeah. Dude. Rodgers and Derrick Henry on the same team would be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
Throwing at AJ Brown.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then that's it because they don't have any other receivers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, AJ Brown tweeted out saying like that he would like something along the lines of him being happy that Juju wasn't on the Titans. So
interesting.
Yeah, so I saw that on like somebody like I guess screenshot his tweet and posted on Instagram, and I then checked the comment section, and half the comments were saying that AJ Brown has not done anything in the league yet, and he has no like right to be like talking trash about Juju, and it's not wrong necessarily because he hasn't really done like he's a good receiver, but he hasn't done like anything spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And then to our final team, the Washington Commanders, who I think have done a really good job this offseason.
Yep, they
Why
got
so high on Wentz? Like I
hey, first off, his name is Ron Weasley.
Oh yeah, that okay. I will. Before we even discuss that, his press conference. Whoever dressed that man needs to be fired. That was
Fired right away.
disgusting.
Oh my
It was
god.
like it looked like he was like like a ketchup and mustard bottle. Like it was so bad. Like I don't know who thought that was a good idea. No, terrible. Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
it's-
literally like Ron Weasley though, because now this is what I'm gonna say. And I can't remember what book it was, but there was one book where Ron didn't have any confidence in himself and he needed to get like tricked into playing better, or like tricked into having like luck potion or something.
Dude, you
to
just
play
sound
better.
like you sound unknowledgeable about Harry Potter.
I can't
It's
remember
called liquid luck, Jacob.
what was like the technical term for it though.
Liquid luck.
Isn't there just another term for it? Because like they do typically have that in Harry Potter.
What?
I don't
Huh?
know the actual. I don't know. Like maybe it might have a
It
Latin
was like
potion
that's
name.
basically what it
Latin
is though.
name?
Liquid
No,
luck.
it's like Felix Felicis or like Liquid Luck.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but
And it-
anyways, I can't remember what book that was, but Ron needed to get tricked basically into performing better. So like Harry won at one point.
I'm pretty sure it was
Um,
book 6.
Okay.
Half Blood Prince. It was
Dude, are
Slug-
you just reciting Harry Potter right now? What the hell is this?
My point is Wentz is the same.
What's the
is-
same as?
Wentz, and I want to know why you guys love Carson Wentz. Like
I don't
he
know,
played for the Eagles.
Listen, Ron Weasley gets the girl at the end, so
I'm kind of scared for what Prince Harry's
Okay.
gonna do in the NFC East. Like his revenge game against the Eagles and the Colts might, like, he might pop off. Like I don't know, but
it's so sick that he plays both teams this year, like 'cause
Like,
of the division.
he might go on a revenge tour against the Eagles just to spite us. But
Yeah,
then
dude.
besides that, it might just suck against every other team. We'll see.
Jacob, I'm not saying that Carson Wentz is like the answer for a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but I think for I think for this year, like the draft class for quarterbacks is like quite very questionable. And what the Commanders did is they got rid of a couple thirds to get a guy who has very high upside to be the quarterback for the year. They don't need to draft a guy now. They can just like sit on Wentz and wait, and which is rare. What?
Sorry, keep on going. You can keep on going.
The draft is deep in talent, so the Commanders can actually draft like a guy who has like very good talent who will really help the team out immediately, and then we'll like just let Carson Wentz be a quarterback. They have a decent wide receiver room. They have Terry McLaurin. See if they do anything else in the draft with that. If they make any signings, and I think they got out of a bad situation of overdrafting a quarterback. Because it was very likely they would end up drafting someone like Kenny Pickett, who has a lot of question marks, and you're going to end up being in 2 years like we drafted the wrong guy. And instead this year they don't have to deal with that.
Now I have a question for you.
I have
If
an
Carson
answer.
Wentz did not play for the Eagles, would you still have these takes on him?
I mean, I would probably say so because everyone in Philly hates Carson Wentz.
Except for, well, you guys aren't in Philly, but if you guys were, I think you might too. You two might be the outliers.
No, that wouldn't change. I'm an Eagles fan, so like it doesn't matter if I'm from Philly or not.
Raj, what's your take? Would
On
you,
Wentz, would I have the same opinion on Wentz?
would you have the same opinion on Wentz if he did not play for the Eagles?
I mean,
No,
it's
you
hard to
wouldn't.
say. I probably wouldn't,
You said,
but
I mean, first, no, you wouldn't.
yeah, I probably wouldn't. But like, the stuff we're saying is like, it's not wrong though. Like
also-
he's
You're
not
giving
bad.
him so many more chances than like I feel like.
No, he hasn't. He's gotten literally like 2 chances. He had his chance with the Eagles, I guess, when he was a second overall draft pick, which he completely deserved, almost won MVP. Their team won the Super Bowl that year. Then he goes to the Colts, which is his first chance, and then he gets moved. So he's like, he hasn't had 2 chances. He's
What do you
on
mean
his
he had-
second chance.
He had a chance with the Eagles. That's why they drafted him second overall. What do you mean?
Yeah, but he succeeded in
Helped
his.
us win a Super Bowl.
He won a Super Bowl.
Well, he got you guys to where you were in the playoffs, but then he was injured. Then Nick Foles, like I understand that, he got you guys, to like the seed you were at, but then Nick Foles took the reins and won the Super Bowl.
Well,
Right.
I mean, we can't
Listen,
know.
And Derek Barnett got that sack, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Like there are half of the teams in the NFL have never won an NFL Super Bowl. And so even if Carson Wentz for for 3/4 of a season, had an MVP run, and got us the seeding we needed to win a Super Bowl, it is completely worth it. If you win
So,
one
let's
Super Bowl, you
say-
can trade away all your future. The Rams trade away all their future assets. If they don't win a shit for like another 10 years, no one cares because you
So,
won a Super Bowl.
let's say that Mason Rudolph wins 8 games with the
Mason Rudolph is
Steelers.
not doing
8 games with the
anything.
Steelers.
All right,
Then
Mitch Trubisky.
let's say no, because I would say Mason Rudolph is worse. So let's say Mason Rudolph wins 8 games with the Steelers. Then Mitch Trubisky comes in and takes over and then wins the Super Bowl. How much of that is going to be attributed to Mason Rudolph?
Well, how good is he playing in those games?
He's playing
Is
pretty
he-
good. He's playing.
Is he
pretty
playing on an MVP caliber of play?
Not
Wentz
an
was an
MVP caliber.
Wentz
but
was
he's
an
like-
MVP
he's like
favorite
a slight
that
step
season.
down from that. A slight
Jacob,
step
I don't
down.
think you understand though. Wentz was an MVP favorite.
I understand. I do understand that. It wasn't that long ago. I remember that.
Yeah. So what we're saying is not wrong. Injury screwed him over, and I'm not gonna. The Eagles, we just dumped him away, and we dumped both. Because I was telling Justin, I'm like, it's either we get rid of Wentz or we get rid of Doug Peterson.
Well,
They
why
just
did you
don't
guys
win
get rid of
both.
Wentz again?
Wentz, because him and Dougie P were beefing
About what?
about something about I don't know. And towards the end of the season, they were beefing.
Listen, I'm not Jacob. I'm not
Let's
saying
see
that
what
Carson Wentz. I'm not saying Carson Wentz is like a world beater. He's not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. But I'm saying for the Washington Commanders,
He's 11th.
no, for the Washington Commanders, they got out of a bad situation of overdrafting a quarterback this year because they had to do something at quarterback, and they got.
I'll give you. I actually agree with your take here. I agree, Justin. I agree with your take. Raj, I don't agree with your
I wasn't
take.
saying anything. All I said was Wentz has got. I don't want to see him go on a revenge game against the Eagles.
No, Raj, I just disagree.
What did I say?
What are you disagreeing in that
I didn't
statement?
say
He's-
anything.
Wait, no. Why is it that I'm just saying random stuff? I get questioned and oh my gosh, what do you mean? Nah, come on. Let's play it fair. Let's play it even.
He said,
wait.
I don't want a revenge game to happen. And you said no.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Why can't
Are you saying that you don't?
Now, why can't I say some random stuff and then you guys just play it the same as if
You sound so stupid right now.
Listen to what I'm going to say. Raj did not really give an opinion. He just stated a fact.
I understand that, and I'm just joking around and saying no, that I'm not agreeing with him.
I didn't, because the thing is that when you say something like that, it sounds so serious that we think you're being legit.
No,
Like we think you're actually having that take.
I'm not.
Okay, that's what we needed to establish.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
Jacob,
there we go.
If I actually made a take about Wentz and everything, that's a real take. Because what I said was, oh no, I hope Prince Harry doesn't go on a revenge game against us and the Colts. But I didn't really make an actual take about Wentz or anything. I'm just scared.
My prediction: Washington Commanders win the NFC East.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly,
it's a pretty low bar.
Oh
yeah,
my
the
gosh.
NFC East is up for grabs. Anyone can have it in our
I
team,
think-
honestly.
I think they might have the best wide receiver. I think they have the best defense. And we'll see where they go from there.
Receiver, Terry.
Did their defense underperform this year?
They did, but I think they'll be back.
A lot.
Well, Chase Young got hurt.
I think they had some injuries. I think that's
They had some injury.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not concerned about their defense. Their defense was elite 2 years ago. It's kind of like the Bears. The Bears had a really good defense one year, and then they were trash the next year, and then they kind of came back a little bit.
Because
So-
of Matt Nagy.
The offensive-minded Andy Reid disciple fix their defense.
Yeah.
Can we just title this episode
Yes.
Jacob hates Matt Nagy and leave it
Yeah.
at that?
Jacob's got beef with Matt Nagy for some reason.
Matt Nagy is just trash.
But why do you hate him on a personal level though? That's
I don't
what
hate
I
him on
just
a
don't
personal
understand.
I don't hate him on a personal level. I just think he's not good.
But that's not what you're saying though. You're like, yeah, he's trash, and then it's just I hate Matt Nagy. It's why?
The question is,
though?
do you hate
He's
Matt
an
Nagy?
embarrassment to the sport of football.
Okay, now we're getting down to it. All right, there it is. There it is.
Do you hate
The
Matt
fact
Nagy?
he would get a head coaching job over other people blows my mind.
Do you hate Matt Nagy enough that you hate his wife and kids?
No,
That is an all-time tweet right there.
no.
Yo,
That
I will
Maybe
mention it
do.
on
You
every.
should. You guys should look up like deleted NBA player tweets. They're like Kevin Durant, especially, has said some absolutely wild stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
Katie
context,
Turner?
yeah.
Like, what are
Yeah,
you saying, bro?
for context for our listeners, you can definitely find this picture out there somewhere, and it's a picture of it's Patrick Mahomes, his wife, and their kid.
I'll try to put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and
Rip
then
Patrick.
someone just tweets out, "I cannot express how much I hate these three." And someone replies, "So you got beef with a baby?" Like it is just an all-time exchange on Twitter. I was crying when I first saw that.
Dude, Rip Patrick. He is stuck for life now.
Oh,
Yes, they got
God.
married. They got
Oh.
married.
They
Rip.
get married. Yeah.
Hey, at least they can't. At least what was it? Jackson and Brittany can't be at the games anymore.
Yeah, Mahomes did ban them from that.
That's wild.
Apparently that was a false report, but I don't know.
Yeah, apparently it was false, but I'm just gonna run with it and keep
Yeah,
saying it
we'll
until I'm
see.
actively proven wrong.
Because they should be. So. Well, I think that's concludes our thoughts on the NFL offseason. I mean, there's obviously a lot to go around, but generally speaking, what teams do you think benefited the most from the offseason?
The Broncos.
Yeah,
Right.
Broncos is a good
Yeah.
one. I would argue the Chargers. Just like the
Chargers are a
pieces
good
they
one, too.
put around on their defense, like they are locked and loaded.
Yeah, Broncos and Chargers, two really good teams that benefited from the offseason. I think in a sense Seattle benefited a lot, just kind of like
Yeah.
resetting a little bit. Sometimes the best step forward is a step back. So
Yeah.
I think that's all we got. So thanks to everyone for listening to our extra cycle on the NFL offseason. Might be our NFL talk for the next little bit. We've got the draft coming up. I don't know if we'll do. I don't think any of us are draft experts enough to do anything on that, but maybe we'll do like a preview for the NFL season coming around in like Jacob.
No, I can totally handle that.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
You underestimate my college football knowledge.
Oh. Didn't mean to disrespect you.
You underestimate my power.
Oh my God.
Anyway, we hope everyone enjoyed listening and have a good one.
Go Bengals. Pick it to the Giants.
Fuck you.